Manipur. But the opposition is adamant that the Prime Minister must make a statement and that the debate should follow a statement by the Prime Minister. And without this precondition being fulfilled, there will be no debate. There is also disagreement over the rule under which this debate should take place. So that leads us to a basic question. 3 days of washout in Parliament. Who exactly is running away from a debate? Is it the opposition or is it the government?
Day 3 of the monsoon session, and there is no end to the fireworks. Protests outside and inside Parliament, and the sessions derailed in both houses. The clash reached the stage where Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjay Singh was suspended for the remainder of the session for creating ruckus. This has boosted the united opposition stand, calling for the Prime Minister to make a statement in the House. The opposition wants the suspension of Rule 176, which allows time-limited discussions, for Rule 267, to suspend regular proceedings to prioritize the Manipur debate.
सरकार मणिपुर के ऊपर बात करने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, मोदी जी सदन में आने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, हमारा विरोध जारी रहेगा। राष्ट्रपिता महात्मा गांधी की प्रतिमा पर मैं अपना धरना जारी रखूंगा।
ये नसीहत दे रहे हैं कि प्रधानमंत्री आए, ये आसमान तो नहीं टूट पड़ेगी ना अगर प्रधानमंत्री आके एक बयान दे तो।
Manipur has become a serious glue for the New India Alliance, which has trained its guns directly at the centre, going for an overnight dharna.
डेमोक्रेसी में बोलने की आज़ादी है, बोलने के लिए जो संसद आता है तो उसको चांस मिलना चाहिए।
आप अगर विपक्ष को चुप कराने का काम कर रहे हैं तो विपक्ष भी ये लड़ाई लड़ेगी। ये लड़ाई अब इंडिया वाली लड़ाई है, इंडिया के लिए लड़ाई है और इंडिया के सारे जो भी अलायंस पार्टनर्स हैं लड़ेंगे।
The centre has made it clear it is ready for a debate, with Home Minister Amit Shah prepared to answer all questions on Manipur. But as the opposition refuses to relent, the BJP says it is just scoring political points with no interest in a debate.
मैं सदन में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हूं। मुझे मालूम नहीं है कि विपक्ष क्यों चर्चा करने देना नहीं चाहता है। मेरा विपक्ष के नेता को आग्रह है कि चर्चा होने दे और इस महत्वपूर्ण मसले पर पूरे देश के सामने सच्चाई जाए, बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
देश के गृह मंत्री दोनों सदनों में चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं। प्रश्न ये उठता है कि विपक्ष क्यों भाग रही है।
But the BJP was also quick to point out that crimes against women in opposition-ruled states can't be ignored, staging counter-protests in the Parliament complex.
जो हिंसक घटनाएं महिलाओं के ऊपर, विशेष करके महिलाओं पर और बच्चियों के ऊपर की जा रही हैं इन राज्यों में, और वहां कोई कार्रवाई नहीं हो रही है, कोई शासन का अंकुश ही नहीं है, शासन का डर ही नहीं है। हमारे यहाँ पर बैठने का मुख्य कारण है कि हम सरकार का ध्यान आकर्षण करना चाहते हैं कि सरकार को तुरंत कोई न कोई व्यवस्था लेनी चाहिए, अंकुश लगाना चाहिए।
The situation remains tense in Manipur as the showdown escalates in Parliament. But in a battle of technicalities and optics, who is really running away from a debate?
A full MPs panel will be joining us tonight here on Brass Tacks. Aparajita Sarangi of the Lok Sabha MP and also national spokesperson of the BJP, she'll be joining us. Manikum Tagore, again Lok Sabha MP and spokesperson of the Congress, will be joining us. Dr. Shantanu Sen is TMC Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament. Dr. Amar Patnaik is Member of Parliament in the Rajya Sabha from the Biju Janata Dal. Dr. Shantanu Sen, let me start with you first. Today you heard the Home Minister Amit Shah saying in the Lok Sabha that the government is willing for a debate and that he himself is willing to make a statement and take part in a debate on the Manipur situation. Why then is the opposition not agreeing to a debate? Why then are you insisting on this precondition that the PM has to speak and only then will a debate follow?
See, I don't know whether I am audible to you or not, but your voice is not very clear to me. I am sorry. But whatever I have heard from your conversation, that you are talking about Amit Shah's statement. Let me tell you the fact. Our demand, the demand of India is Prime Minister's statement on the floor of Parliament on Manipur issue. Because it is such an important issue, it has become an international issue by now, where not only two Dalit ladies were raped and they were forced to walk on the road nakedly, you have come to know that one soldier who fought at the Kargil to save our motherland, he has said that I could save my motherland but I couldn't save my wife. Nothing can be more painful for an Indian citizen. So the demand of India, which represents the people of India at large, we demand Prime Minister's statement on the floor of the Parliament. Yes, Prime Minister, who in 2021 has spent only 4 hours in a single year in the Parliament, but at the same time during our assembly election in West Bengal, he spent 4 hours per day for campaigning against Trinamool Congress.
No, Dr.
Yes,
Sen,
Prime Minister, who
Dr.
always
Sen, no,
runs away
the
from discussion.
point that's being asked is it is in the opposition's interest to have the debate in
sorry,
Parliament.
your voice
It
is not
is
very
in the
clear to me.
opposition's interest to put the government on the mat and ask it tough questions on the issue of Manipur. By insisting that a Prime Minister statement should happen before the debate begins, are you not hurting your own cause? Would you rather have the debate and ask tough questions of this government, or allow more and more days to get washed out, insisting on this precondition that the Prime Minister must speak first?
The entire BJP government and our Prime Minister, they hardly have any respect for the Parliament, for the parliamentary democracy. You see what has happened in Rajya Sabha today. Have you ever heard in the history of Parliament that 267, bypassing 267, 176 notices are brought first? What has happened today in Rajya Sabha? When we, the opposition political members of Parliament, when we were trying to get attention of the chair, without getting any attention, the floor leader of Aam Aadmi Party, he went to the chair and he wanted to speak something. Without giving any heed to that particular person, the leader of the house, Mr. Piyush Goyal, was asked by the chair to move a motion to suspend the leader of the house, the floor leader of Aam Aadmi Party. And in no time, without taking the opinion of the entire house, without taking the opinion of the opposition side, just giving attention to the treasury bench, immediately the chair has declared that
I want to come back to the issue of Manipur, not restrict this to the suspension of one member of Parliament. Aparajita Sarangi of the BJP is joining us. Aparajita Sarangi, the opposition is well within its right to ask for a debate in Parliament, and if they insist that the Prime Minister has to make a statement, they are saying he made a statement outside Parliament on day one. Why is he not willing to make a statement on the floor of the House and then let the debate begin?
I just expect the opposition parties to be more logical, more rational. They should be aware of all the parliamentary procedures. See, why should we be asking Honorable Prime Minister to initiate the discussion on the issue? We are ready for debate. Honorable Home Minister, who is the departmental minister who is in charge of the law and order situation of the country, is ready to talk, is ready to make a statement. So I think there is absolutely no justification in the opposition party's demand for asking for Prime Minister's speech. See, let the departmental minister speak first. Let him make his statement now. I take you back to the budget session of the Parliament, the last budget session. In fact, pertaining to the economy of the country, Honorable Prime Minister spoke a few things. And then I remember at that point of time I was in the Lok Sabha, all these people in the opposition said, why isn't the departmental speaker talking? Why shouldn't the finance minister speak? Why is the Prime Minister talking all the time? This was their statement. So I think in the fitness of things, here is a government which is courageous enough to answer all the questions of all the opposition parties' members.
Okay.
Now here is a Home Minister who stands up and says, I want to talk. Now, why are they running away from the discussion? In fact, to my mind, there are two reasons why they don't want to discuss.
Okay, we'll get to that. We'll get to that in 1 second. Let me ask Manikam Tagore this.
Yeah.
The Home Minister is the minister under whom the concerned department comes. Law and order is a state subject, but law and order nationally comes under the Home Department. And the Home Minister today in the floor of the Lok Sabha has said that the BJP is willing for a debate and that he's willing to make a statement. He's willing to put himself there and take tough questions from the opposition. Why would you not want to have that debate? Because by insisting on this precondition that the Prime Minister speak, you are allowing the government the chance and the opportunity to turn around and say, now look who is running away from the debate.
Thank you. We need to understand that India is a parliamentary democracy, and here the MPs, who are all majority of MPs, elect the Prime Minister. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has the majority support of the MPs. Therefore, he is the leader of the major ruling coalition, and he is the leader of the House also. Therefore, he is the right person to come to the Parliament and make a statement on Manipur. He was making it outside, just outside the Parliament building. He was making the statement between the new Parliament building and the old Parliament building, standing outside to the media people. He was explaining about he was telling about the Manipur issue. Why he is afraid to make that same statement inside the Parliament? What is stopping him? He is the leader of the Parliament, MPs. He is the leader of the major political party. He has all the support of the MPs also. Every Prime Minister in India, starting from Nehru to Dr. Manmohan Singh, whenever they had been in Parliament, whenever questions has been raised, they had stood up and answered. But Modi ji has only changed it. He has become the de facto president now.
No, if I may ask you, whenever there is an issue, whether it is on economy, whether it is on internal security, as I understand, the debate is initiated by the minister concerned. Every member of every party speaks. Questions are asked of the minister concerned. And then finally, there's a closing statement / speech by the minister concerned. Why are you wanting a different sort of procedure when it comes to the issue of Manipur? In fact, by insisting that any debate will follow only after the Prime Minister's statement, like I said, you're giving the government a chance to turn around and say it's the opposition that's not wanting a debate.
That's not true. We have to understand it. That truth is there. Prime Minister is the lead. He is the majority member support. He has the majority member support. Therefore, only he is Prime Minister. He is not because of Narendra Modi. He is the Prime Minister. He has the largest MP support. Therefore, he is the Prime Minister. Therefore, what we are asking, when a no confidence motion is also moved, it is moved in the Parliament in Lok Sabha. Therefore, he has to come and reply in that no confidence motion. We have to understand it that as Prime Minister, he is answerable to the House. Why he is not ready to make that statement? What we are saying is that Home Minister, 60 days before Home Minister went to Manipur, he stayed for 2-3 days and sat with Sampit Patra like people, and still the violence continues. It has aggravated now. 70,000, the Honorable Governor of Manipur has come out in record in your sister channel in Hindi that it is 70,000 people are in camps in Manipur. There are 300 more camps are there.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Amar Patnaik of the BJD. You neither associate with the Treasury benches nor do you associate with the opposition benches, but I'm sure as a responsible political party, the BJD is also just as concerned about the situation in Manipur and expect a debate and questions to be asked of the government. But having seen what we've seen over the last 3 days, this complete washout in Parliament, what is the way through? I mean, is the opposition right on insisting on this precondition that the Prime Minister speak? And contrary, the BJP also, why shouldn't there be a statement by the Prime Minister? After all, on matters of national importance, and I believe this is a hugely important issue for the nation, there have been instances of the Prime Ministers addressing Lok Sabha, addressing the Parliament.
As you said very correctly, because of this controversy as to who should initiate the debate itself is not taking place. The issue itself is not getting discussed, and that's what pains us, pains everyone, I guess. Because what is required to be done in the Parliament, what the MPs should be doing, is to discuss this issue. The issue is more important, and therefore, when discussions are not taking place, I think we are really not, giving the importance that it deserves for the issue at hand. And secondly, besides Manipur issue, there are other issues. For example, I belong to a regional party. The most important issue for us is to get reservation for women in the parliament and in the legislature. We want to raise this repeatedly in 0 hour, in several other interventions. We don't get that chance at all because the parliament is not functioning. We want more houses for our people in the tribal areas. We can't raise that issue. So it's unfair on people like us who believe that the parliament is a place where there should be discussions, there should be debates, and maybe some conclusions. But that's not happening. It is, I think, both sides, I think, need to sit down together and settle this out, because the people who suffer, the casualty is actually people like us from the regional parties. The regional aspirations are just not getting put before parliament, and this is happening repeatedly. In the last session, you would realize we even didn't get this chance. This is really very, very unfortunate for the people of a state like Orissa, where many such issues are there which we want to raise in the parliament, seeking the attention of the central government for remedy.
So Dr. Shantanu Sen, isn't the opposition also letting down its constituents when for the last 3 days now, 0 hour has not happened, question hour has not happened? The issues that members of parliament should be raising about their constituents, the concerns of their constituents, are not getting addressed in parliament because parliament seems to be stuck on this one issue and the modalities of how to debate this issue. Are you not doing a disservice to your own constituents?
First of all, let me tell you, when my BJP colleague was talking about the courage of this present government, a newborn baby even started laughing. We have seen the example of courage of this present BJP government. You are talking about disruption of this parliament. You tell me in single example since demonetization in last 7 years that an issue of national importance was duly discussed on the floor of the parliament. You tell me the time allotted for passing one single bill. If you calculate on an average, it will be 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You tell me the time Mr. Narendra Modi ji, our learned Prime Minister, came to the floor of the parliament and discussed on certain issue.
No, but Dr. Sen, on this issue, the government is saying we are willing to a 176 discussion.
Let me allow.
Can I ask a simple question?
Number one.
Dr. Sen, hear me out. How does it matter to the ordinary tax-paying public of this country whether discussion is under 267 or discussion is under 176? Absolutely. Ultimately, the discussion has to happen. And by insisting that only 267 discussion will happen, again you are saying that you are giving the government a free pass. You are letting them get away.
See, if you are asking me some question, you should give me the time to answer you back.
Yes, I am asking
First of all, you tell me, have you ever seen, thank you. First of all, you tell me, have you ever seen since independence that the treasury bench is disrupting parliament? That has happened during the last budget session we have seen. Only Rahul Gandhi, Maafi Mango, the total session washed out. Now you tell me there is some decorum, there is a rule book, there is some constitution, there is some procedure. In which procedure it is written that bypassing 267, 176 notice can be brought first? It is absolutely a complete disruption, it's a motivated move of BJP ruled government to disrupt parliament because they don't want to take part in discussion on any national issue because they know that they don't have any answer.
Okay, so Aparajita Sarangi, why are you hiding behind semantics like under which rule this discussion will take place? If you have nothing to hide, and the Home Minister has said that he will stand there, he will take the opposition's questions, he will make his statements, he will apprise the country of what is the situation on ground in Manipur, then how does it matter whether the discussion happens under 267 or 176? You should be open to it. Rajya.
At the cost of being repetitive, I would say that we want to talk in the parliament. Our Home Minister wants to make a statement. Let there be a discussion. We are ready to answer all the questions that are in the minds of all the people, and we are ready to clear all the doubts. Now, having said that, let me tell you, I may be allowed to hazard a guess. There may be two reasons why the opposition parties are running away from this discussion. Today we could feel Home Minister getting up and inviting everybody for discussion, and these people are saying no to that and creating a ruckus in the Parliament, in the Lok Sabha. Now, there may be two reasons for that. One, if there is a discussion, I am sure the government would come up and answer all their questions and the matter would come to a close. And from tomorrow, they would not be there figuring in the columns of newspapers, and you would not be having this kind of debate and they would not be visible, number one. Number two, in Hindi we say, baat niklegi to dur tak chali jayegi. It's possible that during the course of discussion, we may talk about Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and West Bengal. So I think that apprehension, that fear is also there, and that is why all these people are actually disrupting the processes. See, the Parliament, both the houses of Parliament are there for discussion, for dialogue, for debate, for constructive suggestion giving. But here, the opposition wants to disrupt, and I think the nation is watching. There are 31 bills which need to be cleared, which need to be deliberated upon and passed by the Lok Sabha. Now, I fail to understand that why they are disrupting the processes. Don't they want to take part in the debates on the bills? Now, tomorrow, if the bills are passed by majority, they would say, okay, they did not hear us, the majority passed. Yeah. So I think the demand of these people is illogical, irrational, and I think they need to give a thought to it, and they should come out into the open and say with a big heart that we want discussion, and our Home Minister is ready to actually start the discussion.
Like I said, the Home Minister has said he's willing for a discussion. The BJP making the point that you are running away from the debate, because once the debate starts, it will not be restricted just to the situation in Manipur. People will talk about what is happening in Rajasthan, what is happening in Chhattisgarh, what is happening in Bengal, and that is something that the opposition does not want to confront.
This is the problem of BJP. The insensitivity of the BJP is the problem. They are not ready to see the sisters being naked, paraded in the streets of Manipur. They are not ready to see that pain of that woman. They are wanting to do politics with the other stories, other issues of which where law and order is under control. Here, law and order has completely failed. They had taken the woman who had gone to the police station. 100 people marched into the police station and took them away, inside, out, and they removed their clothes and made them to walk like anything. For that needs to be sensitivity. And I am very much pained to hear from my friend, that colleague in the Parliament, to speak like this, that Home Minister will make a statement. Home Minister has failed. In Manipur, Home Minister has failed. Mr. Amit Shah has failed. We want the Prime Minister Modi to come to Parliament. He should answer to the Parliament. He should make a statement in Parliament. Why he is afraid in coming into the Parliament? Why he is only speaking outside the Parliament?
Mr. Tagore, I keep coming back to that. Your best opportunity to put the government on the mat is to have that debate. And then 15 parties or 20 parties, 26 parties that are part of the India alliance, every party representative gets a chance to ask questions of the government. Every opposition party representative should ask those questions to the government. Why did you fail the people of Manipur? You are not by not allowing the discussion to happen, by not allowing the discussion to even begin, you're actually giving a long rope to the government. You're getting the government to go away scot-free.
No. We are exposing one thing very clear, that why Prime Minister is afraid to come to Parliament. We are making, for the past 3 days, the country is debating, because first day, Wednesday itself, Thursday itself, Mr. Prime Minister would have walked into the Parliament and made a statement on Manipur, what he was making outside. The issue would have been closed. Why he is afraid? Okay. Tomorrow also, let my colleague, BJP colleague, tells to our Prime Minister that let him come 11 o'clock, we will all sit. We will sit silently to listen to him. Let him make a statement.
So then the question that needs to be asked is the issue the core issue here, is it about Manipur and the situation in Manipur, or is it the fact that you want Mr. Modi to make a statement on Manipur? Because I'm not able to understand what the core issue as far as I'm concerned is the on-ground situation in Manipur, the deteriorating law and order situation, and the state government and its inability to rein in that situation. But be that as it may, please Aparajita Sarangi respond, and then I'll go to Amar Patnaik after that. What is the big deal? Why? I mean, there have been instances in the past, there have been precedents in the past when on matters of national importance, prime ministers, leaders of the house have made statements.
I think the entire situation gives an idea that these people are not serious about the situation in Manipur. Manipur is actually in a bad shape, but having said that, I must say that slowly and gradually it is limping back to normalcy, and we must acknowledge that. Now, as far as Prime Minister Modi's government is concerned, we are focusing a lot on the development of the northeastern states. We don't say look east, we say act east. And let me tell you, for the knowledge of my friend here from the Congress and from other two parties, that our Prime Minister in the past 9 years has gone 50 times to the different states of Northeast. And in fact, the cabinet ministers and other ministers have gone for about 400 times to these areas. So we have been doing our bit, but yes, things are not so good as it should have been in Manipur. Whatever has happened should not have happened. We want to answer all the questions that are there in the minds of everybody, but the opposition must behave responsibly. The opposition's demand should be logical and rational, and that is why they should let the government speak. They should let Honorable Home Minister, the departmental minister, to make a statement on the floor of the House.
Okay, so let me ask Dr. Amar Patnaik, doesn't it worry you as a member of the non-ruling alliance, as it were, that you are not being seen on the side of this issue where most opposition parties, not just this India alliance, but other opposition parties who are also not part of this alliance, seem to have been rallied around one side of this issue? Does it not, do you not risk being on the wrong side of this issue by not being seen with the rest of the opposition and its collective demand that a debate happen and that the Prime Minister make a statement on the situation in Manipur? I mean, the video that we saw last week, that is grave enough for everything to be stopped and for a discussion to happen on Manipur and what exactly is the ground situation and what is the government's plan to get the situation back to normal.
But as you said very correctly, what is the core issue? The core issue is Manipur and the incidents that happened there, which has been talked about. The core issue is definitely not the modalities of the discussion, and that I think both the sides have to decide. And both sides must settle down in such a manner that debate and discussion takes place. When the debate and discussion has not even taken place, how do we take our position? To tell us that we are not with the opposition or not with the ruling party, I think it's inappropriate. It will not be a correct interpretation of things, because we would be able to say what we have to say only when there is a debate and discussion. Our leader never believes in rushing to the well of the house or shouting from the chair of the or the benches in the house. So we want a debate, we want a discussion, and there you would see what is the stand of our party, stand of our leader. And on this particular issue, the issue here is not getting discussed. Yeah. The discussion is on the modalities, and I think that's really unfair.
So Shantanu Sen, I mean, respond to what Dr. Patnaik is saying. You are not discussing the issue. You are going around in circles in how the issue should be discussed. Who should make the statement? What duration the discussion should be about, so on and so forth, and not the actual issue.
Don't you think that this Manipur issue is an issue of immense importance?
Yes.
Don't you think that for last nearly 3 months Manipur is burning and our learned Prime Minister is roaming around in Paris and in America? Don't you think that our demand is very much legitimate, that we want our learned Prime Minister to discuss on the same issue on the floor of the Parliament? What's wrong in it?
No, so I'm asking you, is it more important for the opposition to be seen discussing this issue? Or is it more important for the opposition to be insisting that one man should make a statement about this issue? It seems like the latter is more important to the opposition.
The government is not just Prime Minister. The government is everybody.
Can't be one man. Prime Minister is not one man. Come on, what are you telling? Prime Minister is not one man. When a soldier who fought for the motherland at Kargil, he is saying, yes, I could save my motherland, but I couldn't save my wife. Then no XYZ, it's only Prime Minister who should come forward and speak out.
Which rule does it say that? Which rule does it say that, sir? That because you think
everything is not done by rule. Which rule says that internet will be cut for such a long period in Manipur?
No. So please go ahead and
Bengal,
like I said, by all means, you have every right to ask that question to the government. Please put the concerned minister in the dock and ask him that question. As for what rule have you banned internet in Manipur for the last 3 months? Please ask that question. That's a valid question. But by insisting that the Prime Minister should make a statement and not allowing the debate to start, you're actually denying yourself a chance to do that to the government.
Certainly not. We don't want our Prime Minister to run away from discussion.
Okay.
That's the most important issue.
Dr. Patnaik.
Manipur is the issue of utmost importance to be dealt by Prime Minister himself only.
Dr. Patnaik, I don't know how the opposition has come to that conclusion, but yeah, Dr. Patnaik, their contention is he's the leader of the House, he's the head of the government, and this issue is grave enough that it merits that he make a statement.
No one is denying the fact that the issue is not grave enough. No one is denying the fact that there should be a discussion. The discussion that we have had here for the last 35 minutes, or maybe in other channels, is the discussion that should have been taking place in the Parliament actually. That the whole country would have judged as to what's happening. They would have felt a part of the entire process as to see what could be probably done to douse the flames and get them back on rail. No, that's not happening. I think that is a grave concern as well.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. We hope that at least in the latter half of this week there will be some business in Parliament and that we will get to see some form of debate on this Manipur issue, because I've been saying this again and again. The country deserves answers from the government. The opposition should ask those tough questions to the government. But all of this can and will only happen if that debate begins. And the opposition and perhaps even the country would be better served if they drop this insistence that one person, X or Y or Z, should start the debate and should make the statement as a precondition before the debate itself begins, because the debate is more important than who begins it. All right. Now, in this segment on Manipur, CNN News 18's Kamalika Sengupta, who's on ground, one of the few reporters of a national channel who's reporting from Manipur right now, she spoke to the husband of one of the victims, and in an emotional statement, the victim's husband has said that I protected my country, but I couldn't protect my wife. He, of course, is a retired soldier. This is an excerpt from the conversation that Kamalika Sengupta had.
ये पूछना है कि आप देश का सुरक्षा किया है आपने, क्या लगता है कि सरकार आपके परिवार को सुरक्षा करने में नाकामयाब रही?
हाँ, मैं देश के सुरक्षा फौज में थी, लेकिन मैं रिटायर आने के बाद अपना गांव, अपना परिवार रक्षा नहीं कर पाया। इतना दुखी और इतना दुखी इतने कह सकता हूँ। इसी भारतवर्ष में रहने वाला कोई जाति, कोई माइनॉरिटी भी होता है, कोई मेजॉरिटी भी होता है। जो बेकसूर वाला को, माइनॉरिटी जाति को मेजॉरिटी जाति ने दबा के रखा है, जीना हराम कर दिया। इसी भारत के अंदर नहीं होना चाहिए, ये कहना चाहता हूँ।
आपको लगता है कि अभी जस्टिस जो होता है ना, अभी जिस तरीके से, क्या आप जो सरकार है उसको आप क्या बोलना चाहेंगे?
ये चाहता हूँ जो गलती जो कार्रवाई कर रहे, जो महिलाओं के ऊपर जो शेरशानी किया है, बेकसूर वालों को खून किया है, इनको सख्त से सख्त सजाएं मिलना चाहिए। और जो माइनॉरिटी वाला को जीने के लिए जो दबा के रखा है और जो मणिपुर में मैतेई पार्टी मेजॉरिटी है, हम लोग कुकी जो माइनॉरिटी है, इनको जीने के लिए एक साथ जी नहीं सकता है, एक साथ नहीं रह सकता है, इसलिए और अलग अलग जीने के लिए भारत सरकार कुछ न कुछ कार्रवाई कीजिए। पुलिस का जो गाड़ी में ये लोग चढ़ा था, बैठ चुका था, लेकिन उसमें फिर जो आदमी लोग ने पुलिस गाड़ी से फिर खींच करके उतरा और उसके बाद पुलिस वाला इनको कुछ नहीं किया, कोई मदद नहीं किया। ये बहुत दुख के बात है। कैसे सोचता है, क्योंकि मैं एक फौज का देश का रक्षा करने वाला, हम लोग युद्ध में जाता है, कहीं लड़ाई में जाता है, जो ऊपर वाला अधिकारी लोग ने यही बताता है कि कहीं में भी जंग जाता है और किसी महिला से छेड़खानी नहीं करना चाहिए, और यही बताता है किसी का संपत्ति में लालच नहीं होना चाहिए।
One of the big talking points in the last 9 years of the Modi government has been the government's treatment of minorities. Now, there is a view, particularly amongst liberals as well as, of course, in Western capitals, that the Modi government does not treat minorities, particularly Muslims, well, and that there is persecution of Muslims, there is love jihad, and there is persecution of Muslims in the name of anti-cow slaughter, etc. Does that hold up? And particularly when it is compared to what we've seen in Pakistan over the last 75 years, the journey of that country from what was envisaged to what it has now become, that it is an ethno-religious state. Here again, critics of the Modi government are making the argument that India is going down that same path into becoming a Hindu majoritarian state. Does that view hold up, particularly when it's viewed from the other side? Joining me now is Professor Dr. Ishtiaq Ahmed. He's Professor Emeritus with the University of Stockholm for Political Science. Thank you very much, Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed, for speaking with us here on CNN News 18.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to our discussion.
All right. I want to first start off by asking you, we have seen the journey of Pakistan over the last 75 years. There's too many troubles to talk about in this day and age that the country is going through, whether it is political, economic, so on and so forth. But I'm curious to know about the journey of Pakistan, which has now become an ethno-religious state. No one's making any bones about it, and that is best envisaged or seen in the treatment of the state towards its minorities, not just the Christians or the Hindus, but also to Ahmadiyyas or other ethnic sections within the Muslim community who are not treated particularly well. Could you give us an outline of this trajectory as to how, or at least what the idea of that state was by its founding fathers to what it has become now?
Well, my research, I have demonstrated it in 3 books of mine: The Punjab, Bloodied, Partitioned and Cleansed, Unraveling the 1947 Tragedy Through Secret British Reports and First-Person Accounts. That's one book. Then the second one is Pakistan, the Garrison State. It explains why Pakistan could not stabilize with civilian supremacy. And the third one is about the founder of Pakistan, Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Jinnah, his successes, failures and role in history. And all 3 books I have demonstrated abundantly with references. Nobody can question that the whole premise on which Pakistan was based was flawed. And that was that if you don't belong to my religion, then you are ipso facto an enemy of mine. That trick or that argument of Muhammad Ali Jinnah proved to be effective because the British needed a foothold in India even when power was transferred, and that is why Pakistan came into being. But this whole notion that if you don't belong to my faith, then you are my enemy, then turned inside. And people found that among this amorphous Muslim community, which was the majority in Pakistan, there were differences, deep-rooted differences based on sect and subsect, and then you had all these linguistic nationalities competing with one another. And the Pakistani state lacked a vision, in sharp contrast to the freedom struggle upon which India launched its long non-violent struggle, and finally it culminated with the freedom of India. Pakistan came into being very quickly without any clear vision, and I have shown that Jinnah can be quoted in all ways you want to. There are many statements by him which are in favor of an Islamic state upholding the Sharia. Then there are statements saying that Pakistan will be a Muslim democracy, a spiritual democracy. And then finally one speech on which everybody latches on of 11th August, where for the first and only time, Jinnah said, in this great state of Pakistan, Hindus will cease to be Hindus and Muslims will cease to be Muslims, not in a religious sense because that is a matter of private faith, but as citizens of the state. Now, I have said that that speech lacked credibility entirely insofar as the people who had gone through the trauma of the partition. It had resulted in 1 million deaths and 14 to 15 million people uprooted from their homes in the in this Hindu India and Muslim Pakistan. And now to tell them that both can be equal citizens made no sense. And why did Jinnah say this? Because he got the sense that if India were to push the 35 million Muslims who were left behind in India, 1/3 of the population, Pakistan would collapse. No, so my argument is that Pakistan
I do want to know, this was what was said 75 years ago, and now it's there for everyone to see, the trajectory of Pakistan and where it is today, and the trajectory of India and where it is today. There is a sort of familiar argument that you hear about the Modi government in particular, that it is on the march or it is wanting to turn into India into a Hindu majoritarian state. You have been here in India. I presume this is not your first time here, but you have been here, you have interacted with people here, you have spoken to different people from different cross-sections of society. What are your impressions, and does this argument hold according to you that India, which was envisaged and which has so far remained a secular state, may be being pushed by this government, by the current dispensation, into becoming a Hindu majoritarian state? Is there any merit in that argument from whatever you've seen and whatever observations you have in your interactions with people here?
Well, let me give an answer which I think must be at least should have two dimensions. One is what I observe every day, moving from one part of India to another, one city to another. There you find that Muslims are living like they have always lived in a plural sort of society. The mosques are there, the azan, the call to prayers I've heard being recited, women in burqa and in hijab walking in a leisurely manner as if that nothing has happened. So if you just go around different parts of India, there is no evidence that the Muslims constantly live in fear of aggression from the majority Hindus. But there is no denying that the BJP government does have a vote bank politics which favors the Hindus, and I have pointed out even to the RSS when I have met them that the BJP has not elected any Muslim to the Indian Parliament. And so there is reason to believe that there is a majoritarian thrust in the present government. But does it translate into Muslims living in fear all the time? I didn't find any evidence.
Okay, I want to now extend this. I want to extend this. Sure, I want to extend this to another facet of this conversation, and that is perhaps as a consequence of this narrative or maybe independent of, we don't know. But there seems to be a hardening of stand even within the Muslim community. And I'll give you one example that happened last week. There is a Waqf board from the southern state of Andhra Pradesh where I believe a fatwa was issued last week which said that any subsect within Islam will also be treated as kafirs or infidels. So the fatwa specifically talks about Ahmadiyyas, and I'm curious to know if that is something similar to what we have seen in Pakistan in the past, and is that danger there in India that as there is this perceived push towards becoming a majoritarian state or vote bank politics as you said it, consequently on the other side in the Muslim community in India, is there a hardening of stand as has been evidenced in some of these fatwas that we're seeing?
Well, I think these fatwas have been around ever since the Ahmadiyya community began to be noticed in the politics of primarily Punjab and then later on. So this is as old as the founding of the Ahmadiyya movement, and the difference is that in India, even if they issue such fatwas, that's not what the state upholds as part of its legal or constitutional system. So doesn't matter which group declares another group kafirs, because this they do all the time to each other, including the Sunni and Shia subsects. So this is a favorite pastime of the dogmatic type of ulama in all sects. And if I may dare, the Ahmadis also have a ruling that all those who do not accept their prophet, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, as a prophet of God, are also outside the pale of Islam.
Okay.
So all of them reject all other groups. The thing is, in Pakistan, the Sunni are a majority, so the Ahmadis have ended up at the receiving end. So that's the problem with an ideological state based on a particular religion. And then within the religion, you find you have all these deep divisions which favor one group in comparison to another. So that's the tragic situation of Pakistan, and maybe things like this are happening in India as well.
So I want to press, you've come at an interesting time here in India when there is this whole debate that's happening both in the media as well as in government and non-governmental circles about a uniform civil code. India does not have a uniform civil code. It has a uniform criminal law for all criminals irrespective of caste or religion or creed, but it does not have a uniform civil code when it comes to matters like marriage and divorce and property rights, etc. Do you see the time has come for India to have one set of uniform laws? And the reason why the BJP and its supporters sort of advocate this is because as per Sharia law in India, a Muslim man can keep up to 4 wives. That they say is not in consonance with civil laws for other communities. There are discrepancies when it comes to inheritance rights. Muslim daughters are not allowed to inherit ancestral property as much as the sons are allowed, and that is discriminatory. Do you see the case for a uniform set of civil laws?
Absolutely. I've been interviewed in India and even by Pakistani YouTubers on this issue, and I'm very clear. You see, I've been teaching human rights all my life, minority rights, women rights, children rights. So I am a great supporter of equality between the genders and age groups and so on. So I think the Uniform Civil Code, if it truly and sincerely wants to confer equal rights on men and women, then the incident of religion should have no place in it. And I think Muslim women would be as much benefiting from it as all others in the Indian population. So I see no argument in favor of Islam being threatened by such a civil code. I call it the citizen civil code. All men and women should have equal rights and equal responsibilities. And as far as I know, there is nothing to do with your faith, your right to pray as you please, the way you want to fast. I mean, those are the basic functions or belief system of Islam, which is not affected. So I am a great supporter of the Uniform Civil Code.
And I want to get one final word on how you see, from your vantage point, the goings on in Pakistan, politically speaking. Clearly, Imran Khan seems to have created this narrative that he was wronged politically and that there are powerful interests both in the civilian government as well as in the army who are out to get him. If an election were to happen today, it's likely that he would win the popular vote and his party would emerge as the single largest. But no one seems to be in any hurry to call that election. And whatever differences there were between him and the army leadership, it doesn't seem to have been thrashed through entirely just yet. So how do you see the political situation in Pakistan evolving in the near term?
I think Pakistan's political system has been in paralysis now for so long that I would not sound very optimistic unless some basic things were sorted out. And that means the establishment as well as the political leaders sit together and come to some agreement on the rules of the game. You know, when Imran Khan was in power, he, for 4 years almost, he continued with whatever the establishment was dictating to him. And then he didn't protest when they threw him out. So then he started this movement, and there is no doubt that he has popular support, and if elections were held now, he stands a very good chance of winning the elections. But he has gone so far in the direction of direct confrontation, categorical opposition to the establishment, that I don't think they will let him come back. But then in Pakistan, one should never be sure of the statements one is making. I think Pakistan needs to fix its priorities correctly, and among them is to bring to an end this confrontation policies towards India, normalize relations with India. You know, only before his retirement, a few months earlier, General Bajwa said that we will start trading with India, and a minister was also appointed, and a list of items we were going to start importing from India was declared. And then Imran Khan and his ministers rejected it, repudiated this whole idea of trade with India. So where should I look for people who are responsible and want to normalize relations within Pakistan and with Pakistan's neighbors? I see no light at the moment.
Professor Ishtiaq Ahmed, as always, a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for your time and for your valuable insights. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Presented by
अगर हमको मिली नहीं है तो हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हो सकते। दूसरी बात यह कि उस आदेश के खिलाफ हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट गए हुए हैं, आज हमारी हेयरिंग है, तो जिस चीज़ में आज हेयरिंग हो रही है उसी चीज़ में हम वहाँ शामिल कैसे हो सकते हैं। तो हम लोगों ने लिखित रूप से इन लोगों से गुजारिश की कि आप अपने द्वारा हमारी बात आगे उनको पहुँचाएँ कि इसको एक दिन के लिए आगे बढ़ा दें, ताकि हमारी ये सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाला जो मरहला है वो गुजर जाए। उसके बाद हम उसमें शामिल होंगे, उसमें आपका ताउन करते, आपका सहयोग करते। लेकिन अब उन लोगों ने वादा तो किया था कि आपकी ये बात ऊपर पहुंचाई जाएगी, क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ। अब आज सर्वे हो रहा है, तो इसलिए हम लोग ने उसको
आज सुप्रीम कोर्ट में तो आप लोगों ने क्या सर्वे का बहिष्कार किया हुआ है?
बहिष्कार किया हुआ है।
किसी तरह से कोई पक्ष मुस्लिम पक्ष की तरफ से अंदर नहीं मौजूद है,
कोई उसको शामिल नहीं है।
अच्छा, जो आदेश आया था उसमें क्या लिखा था कि 4 तारीख तक सर्वे रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए कोर्ट को, कि क्या क्या सर्वे किस तरह का होगा, ये रिपोर्ट सौंपी जाए।
ये डिटेल जो है अभी हमको वो कल रात में काफ़ी मिली हुई है, अभी हम उसका पढ़ नहीं पाए हैं, ये तो वहाँ मालूम होगी। लेकिन इतना ये है कि हम जो है, क्योंकि ये 2 वजह है, इस वजह से हम उसमें शामिल नहीं हैं।
सुप्रीम कोर्ट में क्या पक्ष रख रहे हैं आप?
सुप्रीम कोर्ट में कि भाई ये एक तरीके से जब जिस चीज़ पर रोक लगी हुई है, सन 91 से रोक लगी, स्टे लगा हुआ है, और उसका स्टे को इसको नज़रअंदाज करते हुए आदेश जारी कर दिया गया, तो उसके खिलाफ हम गए हुए अपनी बात रखेंगे भाई ऐसा है। अब सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो फैसला होगा वो देखा।
लेकिन वो हिंदू पक्ष कह रहा है कि मुस्लिम पक्ष डरा हुआ है, इस वजह से सर्वे नहीं चाहता, इस वजह से विरोध कर रहा है।
ये बिल्कुल, ये हमने अभी कहा कि अगर एक
I have CNN News 18's legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar joining me live on the broadcast. Ananya, clearly the Muslim side is not very happy with Varanasi court's order. They have reached the apex court also. What do we know about that? Also, could you tell us the major key takeaways from the past surveys on the same complex?
Well, definitely, Sakshi, the matter is before the topmost court of the country. An urgent mentioning would be made, as we have been told by the Muslim side with regards to the orders that have been passed by, in fact, the Varanasi court directing Archaeological Survey of India survey at this particular site, except for the Vazu area, which has been sealed by the topmost court of the country by its earlier orders. Now, what is very important to note is that they have also sought a particular direction that all of the suits that are pertaining to the Gyanvapi case and this whole disputed site should be stayed until the Supreme Court actually give its final verdict. So whether or not that would be allowed is something that is a matter of time. But as you asked me, the second part of your question, what are the key takeaways of the previous surveys? Now, in the previous survey, the Advocate Commissioner's survey, the videography was done of the Vazu Khana area, where what the Hindu side claims it to be a shivling, while the Muslim side says that it's a fountain that has been found there. But at the same point of time, we have to understand the demography of that particular whole structure, the Gyanvapi site, includes various areas, which includes a central dome. There are three basic domes. The Hindu side claims that on the central dome, beneath that, there is a Khana, where in fact there would be two more shivlings, and in fact the original shivling of the Adi Visheshwar temple that would be gained back is what has been claimed by the Hindu side. Apart from that, what has also been stated is that on the northern and the southern side of it, the Khanas are all, another Khanas are there, and in fact under that also we might see that the Hindu relics are found. Under the central dome there is a hollow sound that comes, which is basically the Hindu side claims is there has been some kind of artificial construction that has been made in order to hide the actual structure of that central dome, and to say that there was a Hindu site that was existing there. Apart from that, the western wall, which is one of the key important aspects of this particular survey, is that that wall is engraved with Hindu relics. It has signs of swastik and various other Hindu relics that are there. Also, that the pillars that are there at the Gyanvapi site stand on, in fact these pillars are of the Hindu temple which Aurangzeb had raised, and then a mosque was built, is what has been claimed by in fact the Hindu side. Now what are the dating techniques and what are the techniques that would be used by the Archaeological Survey of India to actually conduct these survey? Two major techniques would be used by in fact the Archaeological Survey of India. One is the GPR, that is ground penetrating radar. Now what ground penetrating radar is, that it is a machine consisting of two parts. One is a transmitter and one is a receiver. Now the transmitter is placed in order to send electromagnetic waves down, in fact down to the ground, beneath the ground, in fact, to see as to whether something is beneath that particular ground, and if at all there is some kind of a structure or some kind of a artifact that is buried under the ground, that wave would hit it and would come back to the receiver, which would show that there is something, and then excavation can actually take place. Okay. And if at all something is found, then a dating exercise is carried out in order to know as to which period does this particular relic or particular the point in contention comes from. It would also be carried out on the pillars and the central dome of in fact this particular site. So how will the archaeology, and today number one, the day one of this particular exercise, we'll see that markings would be done by the ASI in order to where to place the GPR machines, what techniques to be used on what site is. The first day would go in actually analyzing.
I'll have to interrupt you over there because we have some major breaking news coming in on the same story. Now this is the recent update on the survey that is currently underway at Gyanvapi complex. 4 teams have been formed from the members of the ASI survey team. All the teams are doing survey work at different locations. This is what we are learning, and this is happening inside the Gyanvapi campus as well. Means one team is working on the western wall and the other team is working under the tomb. So this is the Hello
Namaskar, this is First Post and you're watching Vantage with me, Palki Sharma. Moscow is under attack. They're calling it a terrorist strike by Ukraine, and Poland is feeling the heat. Wagner fighters may be preparing to attack Poland. That's what the president of Belarus says. Meanwhile, another high-profile name has fallen out of favor in Russia. A man Putin once saved from prosecution has now been jailed. Lots of ground to cover in the Russia-Ukraine war. We'll bring you up to speed with what's been happening, also the analysis. In India, the movie Oppenheimer is coming under attack for using the Bhagavad Gita in a sex scene. How did the censor board clear it? And what were the filmmakers trying to do here? We will discuss. In Israel, Prime Minister Netanyahu has got a pacemaker as his country witnesses the biggest protest ever. Even the army is now speaking against the government. In Manipur, no justice for those who've been suffering and no accountability from the state government. In Japan, radioactive fish have put a question mark on the plan to release contaminated water in the sea. All those stories and more coming up. The headlines first. The curious case of China's missing foreign minister. 1 month and counting, Qing gang has not been seen in public. Speculation soars as foreign leaders cancel visits to Beijing. Former foreign minister and top diplomat Wang Yi takes up some of Qing gang's responsibilities. A night of high drama in Spain. The Conservatives win the tight election but fail to secure majority. The far-right People's Party secured 136 seats, while Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez's ruling Socialists got 122 seats. Spain is now headed for a hung parliament. Troubles continue for Indian startup Byju's. The edtech giant has vacated its largest office space in the city of Bengaluru. The move is being seen as a cost-cutting measure as the company grapples with financial and legal troubles. The Pacific braces for a super typhoon. Typhoon Doksuri began as a tropical storm but has intensified since then. Forecasters warn that it poses a risk to the Philippines, Taiwan, Hong Kong and China. It's time to say goodbye to the Bluebird. Twitter owner Elon Musk